Hi, my name is Andrea Monomer, and I am doing my presentation over social work students and burnout. Okay, so this particular journal article was called "Exhausted, Stressed, and Disengaged: Does Employment Create Burnout for Social Work Students?" Came out of a journal article of Journal of Social Work Education, and it was written by Kalia Benner and Angela Curl. The hypothesis of this journal article, there was not a clear question within the journal article itself, only in the title. So in the title it did state, does employment create burnout for social work students? In the article itself, the authors state that they sought to understand if employment could be jeopardizing students' well-being because of conflicting role demands resulting in burnout. So some background information. There's not a lot of research on this subject of social work students who work and burnout. The authors wanted to see if there were role conflicts for social work students with their employment and being a student at the same time, and they wanted to know the effects of this. So the ethics of this study was that the researchers obtained permission of the university before conducting their study. They did this surveys via online, so the students and participants were anonymous, so that did help with anonymity for them and protecting them. And the participation of the study was voluntary. The type of study was exploratory and descriptive. It was exploratory because they were trying to find out how burnout affected the students. So cause and effect, because they work so much, what is the effect on their studies? And the descriptive for the study was because they stated what was being studied at the very beginning, and they explained the social problem of the focus, which was work in conflicting roles. The data collected in the study was mixed, so it was both qualitative and quantitative. Quantitative because they had a numerical value on some of their questions, and qualitative because they asked open-ended questions as part of their statistical data. The design of the quantitative research in this study was cross-sectional because they only did the survey one time at one point in time, not consecutive. The sample and participants of this study were 65 undergraduate and graduate students of social work in a Midwestern university. And the sampling method of this of the study was quota, because they had to be social work students. Quota meaning that the participants in the study had to have a specific had to meet specific criteria. In this particular instance, they had to be social work students. So for data collection, they did it via a web-based survey called Qualtrics, and they did not state a time frame when they had to have this completed or how fast the students had to send it back to them. It just stated that they collected the data via Qualtrics. So the measurement of this study was qualitative, and I will explain this in two different ways. Qualitative, they had 3 open-ended questions. I'm not going to read all the questions here, but it basically, to sum it up, was what are the limitations of schooling and the effect of working and sleep with their academics. And also, this qualitative part of the study had 4 specific themes. as here: limited time, logistic difficulties and time conflicts, academic consequences, and health consequences. They had Likert type questioning, which was the quantitative part of the study. Likert meaning that um, you could either agree, disagree, strongly agree, or strongly disagree with the question, and it was then added up for a specific score at the end. The higher the score, the lower competency in their scholastic career or in school. Face validity here was just meaning that the results of the study were more of a looking at the table and seeing if there was a significance to their hypothesis. They saw that with such a small sample, for only one population of university, which was only 65 students, it did make a statistical significance. But you can't, there was no generalizability. You can't qualify those results to any other population of students or social work students anywhere else, since it was such a small sample. Data analysis here, there were chi-square tests, which had compared two variables, and t-tests, which compare means of the statistical data. Thematic analysis, which was comparing and seeing themes and patterns, and that was with the qualitative data. IBM SPSS software was used. That was just the computer software that they used in order to look at all of the statistical data that they obtained. Spearman's Roe and Pearson's correlations were used also. Pearson's correlations were used when both were with interval level, which meaning order of values, basically values that have to be in a specific order, and they were showing relationships between two continuous variables. And Spearman's row is one variable was dichotomous. So dichotomous meaning two variables that they tested. For example, there were two variables that were dichotomous, and that was gender and ethnicity. Gender meaning male-female, and ethnicity was Hispanic versus non-Hispanic. Results in this study were as follows. There were many numerical results with all of the data analysis shown, but the only results that were shown that had a statistical significance were the ones that I picked here. The basic demographics and sample that they received were mostly white non-Hispanic females. And the descriptive statistics, there were many more, but the only statistical significant ones were work status. 83.6% of the students were employed, and the number of hours worked weekly averaged at 31.82 hours per week. Of course, like I said, these two correlated into having a statistical significance. The number of work hours weekly were actually cut down from 20 hours and under work per week, 30 and under a week, and full-time employed students. And these were the numbers that they came up with. The positive effects for school, as far as the qualitative data from the open-ended questions that they asked, only 14.8% correlated a positive effect with school and work, and those students had an employment or a job that actually correlated with their major as social work. So the conclusion here is that we need more research on burnout in social work students. The sample that was collected was just not generalizable to any other population. Generalizable just meaning that it cannot correlate to any other social work students in any other school. Um, it's just not responsible to say that the results of this study would correlate to any other population or cohort because of how the sample was distributed. Also, the article does state that faculty and staff at the universities need to yield more support to their students, make sure that the students know their resources, and educate them on what is readily available to them in order to be successful with their degree plan in their schooling. And the results of this study, like I said, are not generalizable to other populations. So there needs to be a lot more research on it. But I think that sums up the article in entirety. Thank you so much.